In the boundless Marvel multiverse, few beings exist who can claim to stand at the edge of creation itself. Among them, the Beyonder and Knull occupy opposite poles of existence. To compare these two is to compare infinity against oblivion. The Beyonder was first introduced in Secret Wars, and from the moment of his arrival, he was unlike anything Marvel had shown before. He was not a cosmic entity born from the universe, but rather a force from beyond it, an outsider gazing inward. In his debut, his power was described as billions of times greater than the entire multiverse. What fascinated him most was not conquest but curiosity. He sought to understand mortals, their choices, their pain, and their strange obsession with desire. His famous Battleworld experiment, where he brought heroes and villains together, was less about victory and more about observing what existence truly meant. The Beyonder embodied limitless potential, a being not bound by rules but instead defining them. Knull, in contrast, was born from the silent void before creation. When the first Celestials lit up the cosmos, he saw only intrusion upon his perfect darkness. From that hatred came a weapon, the all-black Necrosword, forged from his own abyssal essence. With it, he decapitated a Celestial, proving his darkness could pierce even godhood. He spread his dominion through living shadows, symbiotes that bound themselves to countless worlds. Where he walked, suns dimmed and life withered. His motivation was singular: unmake creation and restore eternal night. Thus, their purposes could not be more different. The Beyonder seeks to explore reality, Knull seeks to erase it. One questions existence, the other rejects it. Their confrontation would not merely decide who is stronger, but whether the Marvel multiverse bends toward infinite imagination or eternal void. Powers and abilities. To weigh such titans, we must examine the scope of their powers. The Beyonder's abilities. The Beyonder exists outside the framework of all known creation. His greatest power is absolute reality manipulation. With thought alone, he has destroyed galaxies, rebuilt them, and rewritten the laws of existence. Abstract entities like eternity and death, who define the structure of the Marvel cosmos, have bent before his will. Even the living tribunal's authority pales compared to his original form. To the Beyonder, reality is clay, malleable, endless, and subject only to his curiosity. He possesses omniscience and omnipresence, able to exist in all places and times simultaneously. If he wished, he could redefine Knull not as a god of darkness, but as a forgotten idea erased from memory. Knull's abilities. Knull's power, though finite compared to the Beyonder, is terrifying in scope. With the Necrosword, he has slain gods and even wounded Celestials. His command over symbiotes allows him to create legions across galaxies, binding billions into his hive. His darkness can extinguish stars, silence divine energy, and corrupt anything touched by light. He is ageless, nearly indestructible, and regenerates from catastrophic damage. Fueled by hatred, he is the embodiment of cosmic horror, the nightmare that stalks existence itself. Placed side by side, however, the scale becomes clear. Knull's domain is vast but measurable, pantheons destroyed, galaxies enslaved, suns extinguished. The Beyonder's reach is immeasurable, entire multiverses rewritten with whimsy. Knull is a god of destruction, the Beyonder is reality itself. The clash of infinite reality and eternal darkness. Now imagine their confrontation. The battlefield is not a planet or a galaxy, but the very fabric of existence. Knull rises from the abyss, the Necrosword gleaming with god-slaying power, his symbiote legions spilling across dimensions. Stars are swallowed in black oceans. His hatred radiates across eternity, declaring war on creation itself. The Beyonder appears not as a warrior, but as an observer. To him, Knull is fascinating, a relic of primal void, a being shaped by hatred rather than curiosity. Knull swings his blade, every strike cleaving through dimensions, every motion collapsing constellations. His shadows consume entire systems, dragging them into silence. For a moment, it feels as though darkness could triumph. Perhaps the Beyonder allows it, intrigued to see how far Knull's malice can reach. Maybe Knull even carves at the fringes of his essence. The clash feels titanic, an unstoppable sword meeting an unknowable presence. But the illusion shatters quickly. Beyonder does not fight as mortals or gods do. With a flicker of thought, he could dissolve the Necrosword into dust, transform symbiotes into harmless light, or rewrite Knull's existence into something absurd and powerless. Even if Knull's blade touched him, what would it pierce? The Beyonder is not a body but a concept. Infinity cannot be cut. Knull's defiance is unending. He would rise again and again, his void refusing surrender. Yet each effort would be undone effortlessly. His hatred, infinite to him, is finite to the Beyonder. What seems unstoppable to gods is inconsequential to a being who authors reality itself. Philosophy of their powers? This clash is more than strength, it is philosophy. Knull embodies rejection, the refusal of existence. His power springs from hatred of light, of life, of creation. He thrives on destruction, reducing complexity back to silence. The Beyonder, however, represents possibility. He does not create because he must, but because he can. He is curiosity personified, testing, reshaping, questioning. His essence is not destruction or preservation, but exploration. To him, Knull's rebellion against creation is not terrifying, but intriguing, a study in futility. In narrative terms, Knull's role is tragedy. He will always fight, always swing his blade, always summon shadows. His darkness feels absolute to mortals and gods alike. But in front of infinity, even eternal hatred is reduced to a footnote. The Beyonder need not crush him, he need only decide what Knull is allowed to be. Thus, the battle is not truly combat but contrast. One side seeks to end meaning, the other defines meaning. One screams into the void, the other is the void's master. Final verdict, who would win? In the question of Beyonder versus Knull, the verdict is absolute. Knull, for all his cosmic horror, for all the gods he has slain and galaxies he has enslaved, remains confined within the canvas of creation. His powers, though devastating, operate on a scale measurable against stars, gods, and pantheons. The Beyonder stands beyond that canvas. He holds the brush. With a single act of will, he could erase Knull, transform him, or simply choose never to acknowledge him again. The darkness Knull wields cannot eclipse infinity, because infinity contains even darkness itself. This does not mean Knull's struggle is meaningless. On the contrary, it is what makes him compelling. He would fight endlessly, never kneeling, never surrendering, even if erased 1,000 times. His defiance defines him. But defiance cannot conquer omnipotence. Against the Beyonder, his every strike becomes an echo swallowed by eternity. So the final answer is clear, Beyonder wins, not through combat, but through authorship. Knull may be a god of shadows, but shadows exist only because light permits them. Against the Beyonder, the void itself bows. Creation endures, not because it resists, but because he commands it. And thus, in the clash of infinite reality versus eternal darkness, infinity prevails.